Lady Amalia Conaro. He bowed as best he could in the cramped shop. I glanced around, but we were alone. Please, no need for formality. Forgive me, I didn't recognize you in, such attire. He peered dubiously at my breeches. Though I suppose that's the fashion for young ladies these days. Breeches weren't remotely in fashion for young ladies, but I didn't bother correcting him. I was just grateful they were acceptable enough in my generation that I didn't have to worry about causing a scandal or being mistaken for a courtesan. Do you have the book? I reminded him. Muscati's Principles of Artifice, your note said. Of course. I heard you were looking for it. A certain gleam entered his eye, with which I was all too familiar. Conaro gold reflected back at me. Wait a moment, and I'll get it. He shuffled through a doorway to the rear of the shop. I examined the shell. I knew enough from my studies of artifice to trace the patterns of wire and understand the spell that had captured the sound of a musical performance inside the shell's rune-carved whorls. I could have fixed the broken wire, perhaps, but without the inborn talent of an artificer to infuse new beads with magical energy, the shell would stay silent. The pawnbroker returned with a large leather-bound book. He laid it on the table beside the conch shell. There you are, my lady. I flipped through the pages until I came to a diagram. Muscati's combination of finicky precision in the wirework schematics and thick, blunt strokes for the runes was unmistakable. I let out a trembling breath. This was the real thing. The pawnbroker's long, delicate fingers covered the page. Is all in order, then? Yes, quite. Thank you. I laid a gold ducat on the table. It vanished so quickly I almost doubted I'd put it there. Always a pleasure, he murmured. I tucked the book into my satchel and hurried out of the musty shop, almost skipping with excitement. I couldn't wait to get home, retreat to my bedroom with a glass of wine, and dive into Muscati's time-worn pages. My friend Dominic from the University of Ardens said that to read Muscati was to open a window on a new view of the universe as a mathematical equation to be solved. Of course, he'd only read excerpts. The university library didn't have an actual Muscati. I'd have to get Dominic here to visit so I could show him. Maybe I'd give the book to the university when I was done with it. It was hard to make myself focus on picking turns in the maze-like streets, rather than dreaming about runic alphabets, geometric diagrams, and coiling wirework. At least I was headed in the right general direction. One more bridge to cross, and then I'd be in polite patrician territory, safe and sound, and no lecture of my mother's could change the fact that I'd completed my errand without incident. But a tense group of figures stood in the tiny plaza before the bridge, frozen in a standoff, every line of their bodies promising each other violence. Like so many things in Rivera, this had become complicated. 3 broad-shouldered men formed a menacing arc around a scrawny young woman with sprawling dark curls. The girl stood rigidly defiant, like a stick thrust in the mud. I slowed to a halt, clutching my satchel tight against my side, Muscati's edge digging into my ribs. One last chance. A burly man in shirt sleeves advanced on the girl, fists like cannonballs ready at his sides. Come nice and quiet to your master, or we'll break your legs and drag you to him in a sack. I'm my own master, the girl retorted, her voice blunt as a boat hook. And you can tell Orthiz to take his indenture contract and stuff it up his bunghole. They hadn't noticed me yet. I could work my way around to the next bridge and get my book safely home. I took a step back, glancing around for someone to put a stop to this. An officer of the watch, a soldier, anyone but me. There was no one. The street lay deserted. Everyone else in the tallows knew enough to make themselves scarce. Have it your way, the man growled. The ruffians closed in on their prey. This was exactly the sort of situation in which a young lady of the august